Did you know that Kim Jong-il claimed to have invented the hamburger, and perhaps even crazier, people actually believed him? The cult of personality surrounding the Kim dynasty is incredibly strong and relatively recent in the grand scheme of things. Years were spent cultivating this cult of personality, and before long, it could all come crumbling down. Obviously, the Kim family didn't just show up and start making outlandish claims about inventing hamburgers and evolving beyond the need to go to the bathroom. There was at least a little bit of buildup, although less than you might think. Let's look back a couple of generations to the original Supreme Leader of North Korea, Kim Il-sung. Much of his past is shrouded in mystery, with some historians even claiming that there was another revolutionary Kim Il-sung, and this man is really an imposter. It's surprisingly difficult to get accurate information about North Korea, and they don't call it the Hermit Kingdom for nothing. But let's move forward with some of the most widely accepted facts about the foundation of the Kim dynasty and North Korea itself. From 1910 to 1945, Korea was occupied by Japan, and resistance groups formed to take back control of the land. Just to set the scene a little bit, in the year 1912 alone, over 52,000 Korean citizens were arrested and detained for opposing the regime. Years later, in 1926, Kim Il-sung founded the Down with Imperial Union, which you have to admit is a very spot-on name. He was arrested, kicked out of school, and eventually joined the Communist Party of China. It's not hard to see how Kim Il-sung's background made him seem like a hero to the people of North Korea. He overcame adversity, suffered for his beliefs, and was ultimately exiled from North Korea and then returned as its leader. Obviously, there's a lot more to Kim Il-sung's history, but it's easy to see how his story could be interpreted as a hero's journey. And since he ruled from 1948 to 1994, this tale is fresh in everyone's minds, and his family has done much to keep it relevant. Did we mention that this 46-year dictatorship was uncontested? That doesn't happen by accident. Many people understandably celebrated Kim Il-sung, and the government used that to their advantage, venerating his other family members and erecting statues of their fearless leader. And that was just the beginning. Most of us are familiar with royal families, but the Kims are more like a divine family, or at least that's the way they've been marketed. In addition to Kim Il-sung's actual exploits, the government circulated myths about him, including that he wasn't just born, but descended from the heavens in 1912, when time as we know it began. Let's not forget that they don't exactly have Snopes in North Korea. In fact, the vast majority of people there have no access to the internet at all. Comparing news from different sources simply isn't a thing there, which makes it harder to question the news reported by the North Korean government. People can't exactly find proof Kim Il-sung didn't fall out of the sky, and even questioning the Kim family is strictly forbidden. In his memoir, he wrote, "My whole life is the epitome of the history of my country and my people," which accurately describes the way in which he's perceived. Kim Il-sung's successor, his son, Kim Jong-il, was only too happy to follow in his father's footsteps, and in 1967 he was appointed to the State Propaganda and Information Department. He was a huge part of helping to hype up his father and set the stage for his own eventual rule. Being an average person running for office is not an option for members of the Kim family. You have to be above all of that, and so Kim Jong-il developed his own history that's accepted as facts in North Korea. While Soviet records show that he was born in a Siberian village, Kim Jong-il's official biography claimed he was born on the sacred Mount Paektu, and when he was born, a new star formed in the sky, changing the season from winter to spring. Oh, and a double rainbow formed too, just for good measure. One single rainbow simply wouldn't have been special enough. In fact, members of the Kim family who become Supreme Leader are pretty much required to have a list of supernatural feats and achievements that aren't collaborated with any outside sources. Kim Jong-il's memoir also claimed that he could control the weather, invented the hamburger, and never had to use the bathroom. There are also plenty of rules about how the citizens of North Korea are to treat members of the family. Their names must always occupy a single line without being split up if there's a page break or not enough room. Children are taught in school that everything they have is because of the grace of the Supreme Leader. Starting in 1996, schools were ordered to construct a separate room just for lectures about Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. The government kept up a steady stream of propaganda, including that Kim Jong-il could both walk and talk by the age of 6 months old. Even though the stories of the Kim's family's greatness tend to start early, they tend to spend their early lives shrouded in privacy. Even today, we aren't exactly sure how many kids Kim Jong-un has, or what their genders are, because the leader's kids live such private lives, at least for now. Leaving the country isn't an option for citizens of North Korea, but the same is not true for the Kim family. Kim Jong-un lived with his mother in the capital of Pyongyang and was later sent to a private school in Switzerland. But of course, even this move was shrouded in secrecy, and Kim Jong-un went by an alias, with his parents never showing up for school functions. Some of his former classmates have described him as awkward, with a passion for action movies and basketball, particularly the Chicago Bulls. Even though he was supposed to be undercover, he traveled with an entourage of people who were likely acting as security and/or assistants. Although this may sound strange, his classmates attributed it to a cultural difference, rather than assuming he was the son of Kim Jong-il. Even though Kim Jong-un was sent to a private school and set up in a luxury apartment, his grades clearly weren't a matter of concern. He missed 75 days of school his first year and 105 days the second, managing to barely pass most of his classes. Then all of a sudden, he disappeared without a trace, leaving his classmates to fear he had fallen ill. But of course, they now know he had simply left to return to North Korea. Some people travel abroad and gain perspective on the world, but according to journalist Anna Fifield, who wrote The Great Successor, The Secret Rise and Rule of Kim Jong-un, it had the opposite effect in this case. He lived an isolated life in North Korea, being taught that he was special, which was a stark contrast to how he felt as a teenager in Switzerland. Anna Fifield claims his time abroad taught him that outside of North Korea, he was considered unremarkable based on his own merits, which caused him to throw himself full force into his family's cult of personality once he returned home. Although Kim Jong-un eventually succeeded his father, he wasn't the most obvious choice. There are two other known sons of Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-nam and Kim Jong-chul. For a while, Kim Jong-nam was the heir apparent, and like his other siblings, his early life was spent in private, with sporadic schooling in other countries. He shared his father's passion for cinema, and some sources claim the two men had very similar personalities. In fact, his father was so sure of his son's eventual success that he set him up with a position in the Ministry of Public Security to help prepare him to take over someday. But that was before Kim Jong-nam did something that caused him to fall out of favor. He took a trip to Disney. Or rather, he tried to. In 2001, Kim Jong-nam was arrested for trying to use a fake passport to travel to Tokyo Disneyland, an incident which brought a great deal of shame upon his family. The Kims are supposed to be summoning rainbows, not getting busted for fake passports. Kim Jong-nam claimed it was really his progressive political views that caused him to lose his place in the line of succession. But either way, Kim Jong-un took his place as heir apparent, and Kim Jong-nam was exiled and eventually passed away under mysterious circumstances. Then there's Kim Jong-chul, the second eldest of Kim Jong-il's sons. In 2003, propaganda seemed to be promoting him as Kim Jong-il's heir by focusing on his respected mother, Ko Young-hui, who is also the mother of Kim Jong-un. But according to Kim Jong-il's personal sushi chef, Kenji Fujimoto, and yes, of course he had a personal sushi chef, Kim Jong-chul was never his dad's favorite child. In fact, Fujimoto claimed that even when they were very young, Kim Jong-il preferred Kim Jong-un over his older brother. Kim Jong-chul famously earned his father's ire by being seen at an Eric Clapton concert in 2011. Kim Jong-il also had two daughters, but they were never seriously considered for the position of Supreme Leader. Very little is known about his daughter Kim Sol-sung, while Kim Yo-jong works hard behind the scenes for her younger brother, Kim Jong-un. The pair are reportedly quite close, and their father was always full of praise for Kim Jong-un's political work. In fact, she helped promote the propaganda of her brother, and many people credit her with the fact that he was able to succeed their father. There's even speculation that she may be the one who succeeds her brother despite the fact that she's a woman, which would be unheard of in North Korea. But that just proves how powerful the Kim dynasty really is, and how few contenders there are for the position. Earlier we mentioned that Kim Jong-un presumably has 3 children, although little is known about them in keeping with Kim family traditions. It's thought that the eldest child is a boy, and after a visit to North Korea, Dennis Rodman reported that the family had a newborn girl in 2013. Intelligence reports that a 3rd child was born in 2017, coinciding with Ri Sol-ju's sudden absence from her husband's side. Needless to say, if Kim Jong-un becomes unable to lead in the near future, his children are all too young to take his place. Even though the Kim dynasty's cult of personality is really only 3 generations deep at this point, it set the bar high for any potential replacements. How many potential leaders have a proven track record of political service and were born on a mountaintop with superpowers? Kim Jong-il does have a half-brother named Kim Pyong-il, who served as a diplomat before retiring to Pyongyang, and there are some people who suspect he may succeed his nephew, not because of his qualifications, but because he's a male member of the family. He was known for being a bit of a party animal in his younger days, but Kim Jong-il exposed his behavior to their father, causing him to fall out of favor. But now that Kim Jong-il is out of the picture and the pickings are slim, it may be time for Kim Pyong-il to come out of retirement and step up in a major way.